So let me ask you a question. What do you think is the number one way to grow your business? Quickly, easily, feeling genuine, feeling authentic. What do you think will grow your business quickly? That's right, story. You've been paying attention. Good for you. Now, since man could walk upright, we have been talking to each other. We have been telling stories about everything. I tell you about the bad meal I had. I tell you about the book I read. I tell you. We tell everything we do as a species is done through storytelling. It is vital to our business growth. If we are not telling stories, and not just any story, but we'll get to that in a minute, but if we're not telling stories, we are not growing. If we are not growing, there's no point in our business, right? We need to grow. We need to expand. Because as great as things might be temporarily, we've all had those months where it's like, fuck, everything's working. Maybe I finally cracked the secret. Maybe the secret sauce is here. And a month later, a client leaves and we're screwed, right? So there is no resting as a small scale business. We have to constantly be growing. We have to constantly cultivating new consumers. And we do that through story. Now, one of the things is we need to tell stories that are purposeful. We need to tell a story that is going to drive someone who hears it, not crazy, that would be, if you're talking to me, that's what you'd get. But we need to drive that person who is hearing our story to some sort of action. They need to pick up the phone and call us. They need to come in. They need to purchase now. They need to come to the event, whatever it is. When we tell consumer stories, we have a goal in mind. We have something that we want them to do. And so I always call them purpose-driven stories. What is the story that you're telling to drive that consumer into your business, all right? Now, I'm not saying you can't occasionally tell a fun story. I'm not saying you can't occasionally wow them and get to know them on a different level, but maybe that's for consumers who have been around for a bit. But to get to know them, to start getting them on board to your business, they need to be purpose-driven stories. You need to tell them who, what, where, why, tease them, and you can tell them how. I tend to follow the instructions of like the lead from a news article or a news story is those are the things that we want people to know when we tell them a story, right? That's the first paragraph in the thing, lays out the entire, if you read the lead, 9 times out of 10, you don't got to read the story. And that's what we're doing. We want to start a conversation. We want to start some, hey, I'm going to tell you a story that's going to get you excited about my business. You're going to ask me some questions. We're going to have a conversation. And before I can say, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, boom, you're purchasing, all right? That is the goal with our stories. We're not telling stories just to tell stories. And again, super fans, casual consumers that have been with us for a long time, those are perfect. Tell them as many fun stories as you want. But the other side of this is when you're telling purpose-driven stories, stories that are based on who, what, where, why, and how, they become easy to remember, they become simple to share, and they're hard to forget. And that is going to be our goal for everything with stories. And even when we get into networking, it's the number one rule I use in networking. Easy to remember, hard to forget, simple to share. Those need to be our mantras, all right? Now, I want you for the next couple of days, think about how you can tell more interesting stories. How can you drive consumers to start thinking about what can I say that will get them to come in? What can I say to get them to buy this? What can I do to get them excited about me? And how can I stand out in the crowd and tell my story? And that is what we're going to work on for the rest of the week.